Very many of today's generation are familiar with Witcher only from the third part of the game, or this piece of shit. But what if I tell you that there is a deep and dark fantasy, hidden from human eyes, lost in time and completely forgotten, something that wasn't designed for 20 years old Coomers. And that is The Witcher. What? Let's start by quickly explaining who the Witchers are. Witchers are dudes who, since childhood, have trained and read the books in order to learn more information about monsters. If the poor guys survived, they became incredibly strong, agile, and immune to toxic things, known as elixirs. Witchers drink that stuff from time to time to get different buffs, but those elixirs are deadly to average person. Perhaps someone has a question: why do you need to become a Witcher in the first place? The fact that in the universe of The Witcher is a whole lot of monsters of all kinds, which are always trying to tear, devour, or fuck to death poor inhabitants of Neverland. For that reason, at some point sorcerers created Witchers to protect ordinary people from monsters. And as I'm certain you know, people are ungrateful creatures, and over time they began to ruin Witcher castles, became racist, started to slaughter dwarves and elves, and even kill Geralt of Rivia. Wait, that's a little too far. I've briefly told you all the main things you need to know, and now we can move on to this majestic game. The game itself begins with a wounded Witcher running somewhere and then falling in the mud. Luckily, other Witchers found him and bring him to the fortress of Kaer Morhen. After a while, other Witchers in the fortress cross their swords, and Geralt strolls through the fortress with a sorceress named Therese. But their idyll is interrupted by some bandits, and I have to fight.
What the fuck is this?
At this point, it becomes clear why The Witcher 1 has a fanbase fewer than a Pokemon. Combat system in this game is on a whole another level. If you start the game for the first time, then most likely you will be sitting with such face, not understanding why the invincible Witcher is just witching in convulsions and cannot hit the opponent. Anyway, we went to the upper courtyard and hefty chimera creature just burst in there. The Witchers are blocking the passageway to buy time. After discussing the situation, guys come to the conclusion that the bandits have actually come to steal the Witcher's mutagens. So, the elderly Witcher Vesemir sends Geralt and Leo to check what's going on there. We go inside like men, and here the naughty professor is talking to his accomplice. The Witchers unfortunately don't know how to handle such difficulties, so we have to take a detour. Meanwhile, upstairs, guys demand an explanation, and Geralt tells that we are being robbed at that very moment. On one side, we are attacked by a chimera, and on the other side, we need to stop the robbers. At first, I chose to meet the chimera, but the consequences were quite expected. So the second time, while my friends will fight to death, I decide to go hide in the fortress. Here we are met by the same dude. Tris runs off to look for mutagens, and we stay to fight the mage. By we, I mean I stay to fight, and this respected gentleman stands by and yells, "Hey, you can do it, he's not that fast." At last, he's defeated and we move forward. On the way to the lab, we found Tris, who was kind of supposed to stop the second mage, but looks like she got her period not very timely, and now I have to get my hands dirty. These bastards in the lab stole all the mutagens, and Van Darkholm went into the portal, leaving us to deal with the professor.
I hear witches can parry bolts in flight.
Nah, I don't think so. But Geralt of Rivia could for sure. But the professor acted like a rat and shot Leo. Actually, Leo could have been saved, but since the robbers stole all the necessary things, Leo died. I suggest we honor the young Witcher with a moment of silence and a glass of Cadwanian stout. Vesemir then says that times are hard for Witchers and suggests a little rest. Rest here occurs during meditation, and at the same time you are getting a level up. The best part is that you can choose how much time to skip here. I'll put like 20 hours, which is about how long I sleep in real life. Immediately after waking up, I run up to an old guy and he tells me that the Witchers need to get out of Kaer Morhen. But first, I need to heal the wounded sorceress Tris. For this, I need to brew a special potion. To do this, we need another Witcher named Lambert, and he explains where to find ingredients for the cure. I went to the second floor, gathered everything I needed, and returned to Lambert. But he says that this is not enough, and you need to seek help from Vesemir. From him we learn that the last ingredient is the claw of the monster.
To skin a creature, Take a sharp knife and cut along the torso.
And may I ask, what will you do at this time? Yeah, fair enough. I go outside and rip everything off the poor monster, brew the potion, and it is time to take it to the sick witch. And her first words after recovery are...
Let's see if the best bed in Kaer Morhen can hold us.
Anyway, for every woman you f***ed in this game, they give you a card. Yeah, that's the real grind. After a hot coffee, we found ourselves at Leo's funeral. The Witchers decide to split up to find the bandits who attack the fortress, and Geralt is sent to Temeria. So we go to Vizima and watch a cutscene. A woman is walking with a child, and they come across dogs.
What are those dogs doing?
Dogs eat some person and then they start chasing them. The little one managed to escape and the woman, well, she remains to walk the dogs. And by sheer coincidence, Geralt of Rivia turns up in this village. And now he has to deal with these dogs. It seems that a demon has possessed the boy and through him says that he will kill everyone. In the same village, Geralt meets an old friend, Shani, but Geralt doesn't remember her because of amnesia. The village has long been terrorized by a pack of dogs, led by a huge orange one. Geralt asks about the bandits and the chick sends us to the Reverend. Since I can't get into Vizima because of the recent plague in the area, I have to have a chat with the locals. Of course, the first thing I decide to do is visit the local tavern. There is a very welcoming atmosphere and friendly people.
Your mother sucks dwarf cock.
In this tavern I tried to pick up a waitress.
Greetings, handsome.
And the monkey tried to pick up me.
How much would you ask for an opportunity to examine your body?
What?
After relaxing in the tavern, I thought it's time to head to Reverend. But then bandits get in our way and tried to rape the waitress. I, of course, decided to help, mainly because I collect cards.
Shut it, woman. I'll show you balls.
You're apt to lose those shortly.
She seems to take my bait and asks me to escort her home. We killed some dogs along the way. The first date, you know how it goes. But when I get her to the apartment, she says she lives with her grandmother and doesn't want to shock her. But she makes an appointment with me to meet her at the old mill. Yes! Finally, I got to the Reverend and he told me that a witcher named Berengar had already come to this village, but he got scared of the beast and ran away. So, the Reverend is skeptical of me and makes me take a test. I have to put candles all over the village because the eternal fire and faith will save us from the beast. By the way, the eternal fire is kind of religion in this world, and if you pay the innkeeper, he'll tell you an interesting story about how the Reverend saved the village from the plague with the help of eternal fire. He did not eat, drink or shit for a whole day and then ordered the peasants to clean their houses. I did not understand what he meant at first, but then the innkeeper said this.
You have done well cleansing your households of sin. I know it was difficult, I know they be kin. What the fuck?
Yes. You got that right. He just ordered all the sick peasants to be burned because he thought they were sick because they were sinners. What have you done? Alas, we'll have to put up the candles anyway. But before that... Wow.
You're teasing me, you naughty naughty.
Let's get back to the real candles now. I put 1, 2, 3,
4, 5.
and I go back to the Reverend. But unfortunately, religion could not help humanity this time, and the beast still haunts the village. What a surprise. And the Reverend was very surprised, and like any reasonable person, he blames the woman.
Abigail, an evil woman.
And to get more information from him, you have to earn the respect of the local big boys. The rich jerk Odo, the guardian, and Heron. I decided to go to the witch before I went to these.
8.
As I approached her house, I saw a man writhing in agony, and maybe he just wanted a card as well. Inside her house, we are greeted by the Abigail, herbalist, witch, and independent woman. After a short dialogue, I ask her how to kill the beast. She says she knows nothing, but the strange boy Alvin can help us. We need to bring her the ingredients for some kind of potion. Well, I've gathered the herbs, and Lady Abigail brewed some strong stuff, man, and gave it to the boy. After that, poor little guy becomes a demon.
Plow her well. Show her you're a man.
And we learned that the beast appeared because the villagers are Emerald Bastards. And in order to defeat it, we need to expose all the culprits. Well, I'm quite good at this, so let's go get the authority of the local men. First, I went to Heron, and there I witnessed the oppression based on race. Racism can't be tolerated, so I kicked the crap out of the oppressors and saved the dwarf named Zoltan, who is an old friend of Geralt. But as you can imagine, Geralt doesn't remember him. Meanwhile, I offered my services to Heron, and he complained that there were drowners walking around his house at night. So I sat by the fire and waited until nightfall, sliced through some drowners, and suddenly an elf came up to me. Elves are outlawed here, and he had come for the goods Heron was selling him. I mean for food to feed his nice elven community. I could of course give them the food, but since they are considered bandits, then... Heron thanks me for my help and doesn't seem to give a fuck that the elves were killed at all. Now I go to Odo. He is all alone, drinking vodka.
Have a drink with me, Master Geralt.
What a nice dude. Odo told me that he had some dangerous weeds breeding in his backyard that needed to be eradicated.
I'll see what I can do for 120 orens.
I'll pay 50 orens. Let's drink to that.
120 and not an oren less.
2 weeds for 70 orens.
I said 120.
My final offer is 80. Cheers.
Ugh, strong stuff. How about 100?
Deal! One last shot.
And now I have to pilot a drunken witcher and fight these weeds. When I exterminate the weeds and get back to Odo, he starts acting like a jerk.
I've slain the monsters in the garden. Pay up.
You want your 80 orens?
We agreed on 100.
We drank some ale, but my memory rarely deceives me.
What a
Nasty-ass bastard!
The last person to help is the silly guard Mikkel.
There's what do they call that? A quarter line.
Will it last long, this quarantine?
He says he's been given the task of clearing the crypt of the dead. When we find ourselves in the crypt, it's clear where the corpse eaters came from. Some woman drank poison and now serves as food and bait for ghouls. There were a lot of ghouls there, but I, like a real man, made an exquisite mince out of them and joyfully ran back for the reward. As usual, everything went wrong. At the entrance to the town, bandits try to rob Kalkstein. Yes, this monkey has a name, so treat him with respect. They need the equipment to use the Witcher mutagens they stole at the beginning of the game, so I happily cut out the criminal trash, and the guard suddenly says he knew the lady murdered in a crypt.
It was that vile witch! The devil's whore poisoned my Ilsa! No!
And so we win the respect of the locals. We go back to the Reverend and tell him that it wasn't Abigail who caused the beast, but the bad deeds of the villagers. The old guy pretends to believe us and tells us that he needs to gather people to fight the evil. But in fact, he's up to something else. He gives us information about the salamanders, tells us where to find them, and that the key to their lair is with the tavern keeper. In the tavern, as usual, the bandits want to rape someone. Shani says that she would like to get out of here and go to town, but first we have to deal with the salamanders. We get the key from the tavern keeper's back pocket and walk up to the secret house. From the words of the bandits, learn that someone sells them children, and inside the house are Heron's goods.
Those crates look familiar, like Heron's goods that I saved from the drowners. The son of a bitch is trading with Salamandra.
It turns out he f***ed me up, and at the same site with the bandits. Through the basement of the house we get to the caves where the bandits are hiding, and one of them wants to chat. He says that the Lezerman's name is Azar Javed, and also that the Witcher Berengar used to hang out with them. It's getting more interesting. After a fascinating conversation with the bandits, the boy Alvin walks into the cave.
Alvin, why are you here?
The Reverend sent me to this deserted house. He said someone would be waiting there for me.
That son of a...
The Reverend was secretly selling children to salamanders. Mostly those children that no one would look for, such as orphans whose parents were killed during the cleansing of the village.
It's only game.
In another part of the cave we suddenly find Abigail, and from her we learn why the Reverend actually gathered the locals. He's going to kill Abigail, namely to burn her. We also learn from her that the guard Mikkel raped the girl who killed herself in the crypt. Odo killed his brother and received his inheritance, and the Reverend kicked out his pregnant daughter and made her work as a prostitute. The witch knows about all this because she sold them poisons. After her tirade, Abigail plays on sympathy and suggests getting to know her better. After that, she and I go outside to the local intelligentsia.
Burn the devil's mistress!
Let the bitch die in pain!
Let the eternal fire consume her sinful body.
Not so fast.
And of course, I allow them to burn the witch because I already have the card. It only remains to deal with the beast. The villagers help me in this and they all die. But I still managed to kill the beast and only Odo and Reverend are left alive. He wants to give me a pass to the city. And now the game gives me a choice. Take the pass or kill the Reverend. Of course, I choose to stab the old bastard. The freedom of choice in this game is amazing. I take the pass out of the old guy, pick up Shani and go into town with her. But there's a little misunderstanding at the entrance.
Is this the man we want? Yes, sir, Sergeant, sir. It's that filthy freak, the Witcher.
And the Witcher gets arrested by the cops because of the fake pass. I guess I didn't kill that old guy for nothing. Geralt helped the people in the village, killed the beast, saved the boy and f***ed Vesna. But in spite of all his achievements, he still goes to prison. Because there is no justice in this world. Geralt is led into the dungeon and chapter 2 begins. About what happened with Geralt in prison you will learn in the next video. It will be here if I'll ever manage to make it.
Abso-fucking-lutely beautiful.
See ya!